Okay, well, I'm live. I'm actually trying something new. Today is Saturday, July 23rd, and, well, I'm driving something totally different, totally new, so I figured I would just do something completely different and completely new on my channel for all of my subscribers and viewers, because what the hell is that? Did you see that? What is that? I know what that is. That's actually the Infiniti QX30 all-wheel drive. Now, this car is weird. It's a lot like me. It looks good at some angles, not so good at other angles. And it's in a very unusual color as well. This one's called liquid copper. And some people may say it's pink. I actually say it's pink. But it also looks good in certain times of the day. So it's hard to love this color, but you know, I can't really hate it either. Now it looks like a familiar shape. That's because it's a lot like the Mercedes GLA. It's actually that same platform. So even though it does say Infiniti, it's actually a Mercedes-Benz. And you can see that right here. These are Mercedes door handles, for instance. But what you'll notice here is that this car is the Premium. Premium actually has a higher ride height because it's all-wheel drive. You can get a sport version of this car, which is actually nearly 2 inches lower to the ground. And this one has a special interior too. This is the Teak Cafe interior. You can also get the Museum White. And when you know it has an interior package, you can tell because it has silver mirror caps. So I'm going to kind of give you a quick run around on this car and maybe jump in it real fast. But since I'm live streaming, this is live. You'll see inside what Mercedes made was a fairly interesting GLA, but Infiniti turned it into something better. The interior is much nicer in here than the Mercedes, in my opinion, but you'll see things like this. These are Mercedes buttons. These are Mercedes buttons. That's right out of the Mercedes. But then we have this. This is from Infiniti. And that screen is Infiniti. But then in here, that's totally Mercedes-Benz. Actually, so are the window switches and the seat switches. That's definitely out of a Mercedes. But then we have the Infiniti version of the stereo, which is from Bose. You can see right there, it says Bose. So, yeah, quite the strange vehicle. And it's got strange things all around, like this glass roof, which actually does not open. So it's really hot right now. I'm gonna fire this thing up. So you'll see even the instrumentation is Mercedes-Benz, yet it's an Infiniti GPS screen. So I don't know what to tell you here. But while I do here, make sure it's in park, I will try to show you under the hood real fast, because even though it is an Infiniti, that's actually a Mercedes-Benz motor in there. It's a 4-cylinder that makes 208 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Quite the machine. It sounds a little weird. It sounds almost like a diesel, but it isn't. Interior-wise, when you get leather on the QX30, you actually get Napa leather. And these seats are interesting too, because Infiniti calls them zero gravity designed seat backs. So they're very supportive for the back, and I haven't had a single issue in these seats. They're very comfortable on my long drive from Austin to Central Texas at this amazing lake. It's just such a beautiful day out here. So I figured, hey, why not share it with everybody? But I'm sure you want to know what this is like on the road, so well, let me tell you. It's not exactly perfect. Let me just get my seatbelt on. Easier said than done. We have an electronic parking brake, which is, I believe, a first for Infiniti. I've always complained about Infinitis having the foot brake, but finally it's electronic, even though this isn't really an Infiniti. We also have the Infiniti 360-degree camera as well, which is different because I see Infiniti tech here, but I see Mercedes-Benz tech here. Odd. It's the oddest thing in the world. It's like the Manu Chao of cars. But going for a ride right around in this park, we may exit soon. But what I will notice is that it's actually a quieter cabin than any Infiniti I've driven so far. And in addition to the quiet cabin, there's no wind noise. There's no wind noise. The road noise is very minimal. On the freeway, going 75, 80 miles an hour, this thing just feels great. There is one issue though, and that is actually with the way the vehicle drives in a straight line. It has electric steering, but the way it puts the power down, because it has 258 pound-feet of torque and all-wheel drive, the car seems to kind of like drift left when you accelerate, and then when you take your foot off, it drifts right. So even though the steering wheel is straight, when you're on the freeway passing people, it tends to pull left. And that's a very unusual character trait. I've seen that only in a few other vehicles, mostly used vehicles that feel like they've been in an accident or have had some sort of a suspension issue. But this one only has 1,122 miles on it. So this is actually the 2018 QX30 Premium with the Teak Cafe interior, Napa leather, technology package. It has everything. It has radar cruise, which by the way, revolutionary, but it looks revolutionary, but I think overall, as far as cars go, if you are a Mercedes-Benz fanboy, this is probably for you. This is definitely some sort of an emotional decision. The color, it's really cool on a maybe a muscle car. Seems like 20% of the people I've met actually like this color. Everyone else completely hates it. But I can imagine this on like a 57 Chevy or maybe a GTO. It just seems like one of those colors where it stands out. I don't know, man. This technology doesn't work like you want it to, right? But let me give you an idea of what's going on with the price. So back to my other camera, you'll see this thing tops in at $46,460. It has a lot of options. It's definitely not the base model, but you know, if you're looking at something in this price range, I would just say get the Q50 Red Sport 400. You might as well do it right. I think that's the best car that came out last year, and I still think it's a great car. But if you're looking at the emotional crossover, this is not necessarily an SUV, but it is a crossover. And if you're looking for something along that range, if you get leather in here, it's Napa leather. That's really high grade leather. You also get this contrast stitching, and overall a much better interior than you get in the GLA. And as far as the all-wheel drive system, I mean, we can nerd out a little bit. It will send up to 50% of the power to the rear wheels, but I don't think it's really a performance all-wheel drive system. I think it's more of a seasonal all-wheel drive system. It is a transversely mounted engine. You saw that earlier, which means that the default version of the non-all-wheel drive version is front-wheel drive. And then, you know, doing a car review live is definitely something interesting to do, because I'm just now realizing I forgot what I was going to talk about. Oh, okay, so we can nerd out about the fuel tank. It's somewhere around 13.2 gallons. The alternator puts out 110 amps. It just seems to be like a very standard car, even though it has, you know, 3 12-volt outlets, several USB ports. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but it is very quiet in here. You'll see, going 50 miles an hour, it's a very, very nice place to be. So I'm going to continue to enjoy my weekend. I hope you're all having a good weekend as well. And this is the Infiniti QX30. Quite a remarkable crossover. Definitely a very emotional purchase decision. And please give me a like and a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, or if you're an Infiniti fan, or maybe even a Mercedes fan. This is the first Infiniti Mercedes I've ever driven. Talk to you later.